Well, you are a formidable actor. You've had your highs and lows, but you are a star of Mad Men and LA Law, and you are very popular. And not to mention, you are the sexiest man alive. Do you remember that?
Well, how could I forget?
I'd like to know.
A real high point.
I know. What was that like to be the sexiest man alive?
Is that past tense?
Yes. But, you're probably still
just
the
curious.
sexiest. Yeah.
my wife might have something to say about that. What was it like to be?
Yeah.
Well, I was called the sexiest man alive. That doesn't mean one is the sexiest man alive. One is, there's a bunch of people sitting around the desk at People magazine, smoke some pot, and they say, well, what are we going to do this week for that? And they come up with, they throw names in a hat, and somehow my name got picked. I was actually not in the country during the time when that was on the stands, that magazine. I was out of the country on a press tour, a global tour for LA Law at the time, so I got back into the country months after that was off the stand, so I never got a chance to know what that was like. If there is a thing that happens when that's on the stands and people are talking about it, I was not around for it.
Okay. But was it an interesting feeling to see yourself on the cover as the sexiest man alive?
Well, it was somewhat shocking. I was in Australia when I saw the cover, and I didn't know it was coming. And I was sitting in a car on a street corner looking out at a window of a shop. And in Australia, when a magazine comes out, at least in those days, they used to take the whole magazine and cover the whole window with hundreds of copies of the magazine. I don't know if that's an Australian tradition or not, but at that day I looked up and I saw hundreds of pictures of this guy that looked familiar. And I said to my wife, it was Laura Johnson at the time, and I said, am I seeing that right? Is that me? And she said, yeah, and it says you're the sexiest man alive. And then she started to laugh.
It is kind of funny.
I know. And I immediately had to I went back to the hotel, I got on the phone and I called my best friend, who was a friend from Yale, and I said, oh my God, I said, I had nothing to do with this, and please don't hold it against me, but I'm not, obviously, he knew me, and he knew that I wasn't the sexiest man alive. Anyway.
I'm sure you got a lot of flack from your friends.
Well, that was back in the day when it was brand new. It was the third iteration of that, I think, and so people didn't know whether to take it seriously, whether it was something to laugh at, whether it was something. Now it's kind of a cool thing. I mean, the guys who get it now, they kind of laugh and they go out and they have a beer together, and there's a little club of guys who get this, and a couple of them got a couple of times. But back in those days, it was pretty embarrassing, in fact. And it was not something that I wanted to be known for. As you know, I'd studied, pretty hard to be an actor, and I'd gotten a master's degree and spent years training. And all of a sudden, I was a hunky guy.